You know, one of the things about doing this channel, this YouTube thing, and doing it in a mode of DIY and not really so much educating all of you how to do stuff as much as trying to demonstrate that you can figure these things out and you can do them too, because I'm figuring them out as I go. That's really true. I really am figuring these things out as I go. There's a number of things that I've done on this channel so far. When I did it, it's the first time I'd ever done it. And I try to do it without doing too much, you know, hours and hours and hours of research. Partly because I don't really have the time or patience to do that, maybe as much as I should. Probably too to show you that, you know, like you can just kind of figure it out. Like if you have an analytical way of thinking and you really put your mind to it, you can probably figure these things out. They're not, as I said in one of the recent videos, it's not rocket science, right? Today is no different. Today I'm doing something I've never done before. In fact, I've never even unboxed the thing yet. And I'm gonna do some, or at least try to do some paintless dent removal. The paint's already kind of messed up on this dent, but I just figured I'd give it a shot. I have some other dent work to do on the Firebird, and I thought this would be a good way to practice on the Jeep here. So we'll go through and kind of show you what dent I'm working with, show you the kit that I've bought, and we'll figure it out as we go. So come on along and let's give this a whirl. You kind of see it. Let me see if I can get you in here a little closer, so maybe you see it a little better. This light overhead is kind of a pain. Can I flip that one off? There we go. Maybe you can see a little better. It isn't going to show up real well on camera, but I'm going to try. So pros and cons of black paint. It's real, you know, reflective. You can see this line here. That's the light directly overhead. It's turned off. It's just seeing the reflection of it because it stands out against the black ceiling. I'll try to see if I can do this with this light here, but there's some scratches that come up this way, and there's a dent, a little mild dent right here, and there's actually a worse one right there. So something impacted right here and dented that and then bounced. Rock, log maybe, I don't know. I'm not the first owner of this Jeep, and I think the previous owner did some off-roading with it, which is fine. That's what Jeeps are for. Like, I ain't mad at that. It's a Jeep, right? So it's going to get dented. It's going to get scratched. I have a big dent in the fender of the Firebird I'd like to get out. And I'm hoping I can learn how to do it with this. Kind of see when the light goes into that crease here. You can kind of see how it bends. The light bends and kind of refracts as it goes through that dip. It's one way you can see where your dent is. Important part of any of this work is to prep your surface. This is true any kind of body work, but I imagine with, you know, we're going to glue stuff to the metal, and the the dirtier it is, the more, you know, oils and films and stuff that are on that metal, the less likely that is to stick. You want to make sure you prep your surface. So our dent is kind of in this area here. So I've cleaned this off with just some cleaner, just some basic like car wash cleaner, nothing fancy. But that still leaves a little bit of a film. So you want to get all of that off. It would probably, if I was going to do like a super professional job, I would probably clay bar this. Clay barring gets all of the little tiny imperfections off. So all the little specks of dirt, the bug guts and whatever else, it gets all that off and gets it nice and smooth. And then I use a product here whenever I'm trying to get a nice clean surface. This is a grease and wax remover. It's like a prep cleaner. I've done it for paint, making sure that everything's free of any kind of film. Make sure that everything sticks real good. That will take your wax finish off though, so which maybe you want. You want to refinish it with some good, you know, a good coat of wax on it after you're done, because you're going to leave it unprotected. And we'll see whether or not how much damage we do without that stuff on there. So this whole system is designed around the idea that you can pull this out in a little softer way, a little more gradual way, without big hammers and a lot of force, and not damage the paint. I can't imagine there's a version of this where I don't do some damage to the clear coat. Like, I don't know how this works. I've never done this, but that just blows my mind that can possibly be true, and it isn't going to require some kind of polish and wax at the end. So since I figure I got to do that anyway, I just went ahead and stripped the wax off. So we make sure we have a good, you know, clean surface to work with, and we'll see where we go. So let's get started. And I think, just because of the nature of the dent here, I think I want to start first with a bridge. It's the least aggressive tool. It's a slow, threaded, it's not going to pull real fast. And see if I can draw that out with that first. We'll see how we do with that. And then we'll go through all the different, we'll go through the pistol grip and go through the T-hammer, and we'll do the different ones and see how they work and see what difference it makes from one to the other. Then we'll figure out what's the best one for at least this particular dent. Turn the heat gun, get it heated up. I showed you before, I've got these threaded tabs here. And we're gonna get some glue on and get it on here and stick it here. And then I have to thread this on after, because I'm afraid if I do this, there's no way that's gonna stick. So glue this first, then put the bridge on over top. Different instructions say, let it cool for a few minutes. Some say you don't have to do that. I think the instructions say 3 to 5 minutes. So we'll start there and say 3 to 5 minutes. We'll glue this on and we'll let it set up. We'll start with the black glue. We'll see how this works. I don't even know how much to put on here. I'm just kind of globbing it on. We'll stick it right down on the ridge of our dent. Bring it back here in a few minutes when this sets up. That's been sitting for quite a while. We got these locked down. Let's see how this pulls out. I don't know how much it pulled. Got that glue off. And it doesn't move very much. Let's try the little handheld one. One thing I did think about, it's a small dent. Trying to balance, the bigger the puller you use, the more surface area you've got, the stronger hold it's going to have. But it is a tiny little dent, so I think I'm going to stick with these smaller ones for now. So this one's even smaller yet. Get it right down inside that dimple. I did find out the difference in the glue sticks. The clear is the least sticky, and that's for like Japanese cars, I guess, that have really thin paint, so you don't pull the paint off the car. And then the yellow ones are for American and European cars. And then the black is kind of universal. So since that black's what I've got in here, that's what I'm going to stick with for now. I'm having a lot of trouble with it sticking. Either sticking to the piece or sticking to the car. And somebody suggested a couple things. One was wear gloves so you're not getting your hand oil all over everything and making it not stick as well, making it slippery. That makes a lot of sense. The other one was to soak all these pieces in some alcohol for a couple hours and get all that manufacturing, when they mold these things, there's a little film that gets on them just so they can pop out of the mold. And so it cleans them off and makes them, stickier. It turns out that's actually in the instructions. I guess it's helpful to read those once in a while. My brother-in-law once said instructions are just another man's opinion, but sometimes that man is smarter than you. I got these soaking. They've been soaking, actually, this is the next day, so they've been soaking overnight. So I'm going to get them, one of the smaller ones out, and we'll give it another whirl. Another reason to wear gloves, if you accidentally touch your finger with hot glue, it's not quite as hot. The other thing I think I'm doing is pushing too hard, so I'm pushing too much of the glue out and not leaving enough glue surface area. So just get it where it kind of flattens out. Make sure it's got a good, I'm trying to really get rid of any little air bubbles or something in there. So we have total glue coverage. But I'm not trying to mash it in there, which is what I've been doing. So, like I said, this is new and we're practicing and just trying to find different ways this works. And so we'll try this. I remember a buddy of mine, I had another dent in another vehicle in the past that I was working on. And he talked about, he does a lot of body work, and he was talking about tapping around with a hammer around the dent, or if you can tap from the backside, and that does something sciencey, molecularly with the metal and kind of makes it more willing to to flex, I guess. I don't even know the words I'm looking for. And so I haven't tried that yet, and I will do that next. All right, we'll give us a couple more minutes to cure up. Also going to use this small like handle, like gun style puller, and see if that works a little better than that bridge. So I've been trying to kind of walk this, so like see if I can pull it slowly. And while I was waiting for this to dry, I was doing some more reading, and it says pop it. So I'm going to try that. I'm going to give it a little tension here, and then just pop and see what happens. Ooh. And it's apparently supposed to pop loose. So I've been thinking about this kind of all wrong, maybe. I've been trying to slowly draw it out, but the interwebs say you actually want to give it some oomph. And I'll be darned if that isn't walking out a little bit. It's not pulled out. This is real, you know, like versus a fender or something where you just got thin sheet metal. This is double layered on the hood here, which is why I can't tap it from underneath. So this is not going to pull quite as quick as like maybe out here in the thin side would be. This is pretty heavy. This is, you know, this is kind of reinforced, but it has pulled, I think, a little. Now I might just be, I want it. It might be placebo. Maybe I just want it to be pulled. I also said you don't have to let it sit that long. Just like it takes, it's got like a 20-second, oop, no, turn it back off. Like a 20-second cure time. So give it that 20 seconds. That's what it say. Oh, almost caught that one. I did catch that one and then I dropped it again. Yeah, that one didn't seem to move much. It just popped loose. And I might try the T-handle this time. Actually, I'm going to hold off on that. Let's see if we can draw up the bigger dent here. All right. So this one will go hook on and then bang it out. All right, I got up here. I'm just still. I didn't seem to move much. Maybe I'm using too much glue. Is that possible? Well, I did move a little. So it's coming. It's just slow. This is just going to be a slow, kind of moderately painful process. Get it further down the bend here. You know, as I was sitting there letting this cure for a while, and I wondered if there's a sweet spot between letting it sit too long and letting it sit, actually I'm gonna pull this way, sit not long enough, you know what I mean? Like if there's a cooling effect that's not good. If you want it to be a little warm, not melted, right? Not soft, but warm. I'm gonna try pulling it with this direction here. Let's see what happens. Ooh, that got a good pull. That was actually a hard pull. By the way, you don't necessarily need that scraper. You pull these by hand. But sometimes the scraper helps, especially on those smaller ones that I just can't get my fingernails in. Doesn't feel like it's moving much. Boy, that one pulled awfully hard. But I don't see much change in our shape. Got a long ways to go. It is moving, I think. I don't think it's just placebo. I think it's moving. It's just not moving as fast as the impatient me would like it to go. But I can see spots where it has pulled up a bit. It's just not even. So I'm gonna try with a big round one this time. Yeah, a little more surface area. Oh, this would be a lot more surface area, but. And I think I'm gonna go back to the T-handle as well. I don't know. I don't know if I wanted to do that though, because I'm afraid it's gonna pull this whole thing out. So I changed my mind. I'm gonna go back to just the little small puller. So now we've transitioned into the, it's still a little black coming out of there because it's kind of mixing together. There was still some black inside the cone. But we're mixing more into the clear stuff. I can see it being a little more translucent, transparent, something like that. Think I may have overdone it. That may be just a hair too big, but we're committed. We'll see what happens. Ooh, that's really pulling. So much so it isn't breaking loose. Interesting. You see that? You see that metal flexing? I think that's good. I hope you guys aren't hoping to get some strong instruction out of me with this, because I don't know what I'm doing. But if nothing else, you can watch me do this. You can watch me struggle through it a little bit, and you can learn a little bit how to get started. You can watch me do something bad. And if you guys out there, you know, there's a bunch of you out there that have done this before, and you're watching me saying, this dude, I don't know about this guy. I don't think he knows what he's doing. Well, first of all, you're right. Second of all, help me out. Throw a little comment down below. Give me some suggestions. Hit me up on social. Well, it is moving. That one moved a lot. We just got a little dimple in this part now. And I'd love to hear what your ideas are. I'd love to learn from, you know, smarter people than me. I say this all the time. I hope you gain some confidence. That's kind of how I always end these things. And the point of that is this. Don't be afraid to try something. All right? Don't be afraid to make a mistake. Now, obviously, you don't want to screw something up. I get that, right? You don't want to mess up your car. But I mean, some of the stuff, you know, if your car's already broken, you know, worst thing that happens is you got to fix it, right? You got to fix it anyway. So what happens here? Worst thing that happens is I make this paint job look worse than it already does. It's already scratched up and dented. So what difference does it make? Might as well give it a shot, right? And don't be afraid to learn from others. Learn from others, learn from your own mistakes. I tell my kids, never waste a mistake. Because that's where we do our best learning, is when we mess it up. All right. So this one's a little different. It's a little bit, that one was pretty flat and big, right? So this one's obviously about half the size, and it's got a little bit of a curve to it, a little golf ball finish on it. Right there. So my indent's getting smaller, which is good. That's the point, right? You know, shrink my tab down a little bit to a smaller surface area. So we're just gonna keep doing this slow and deliberate, and more than likely what will happen is I'll end up with a little bit of a bump, and we'll have to tap it back down. A little other dip over here. I want to maybe pull up, but that's okay. It's easier to tap it down, I think, than it is to pull it up. Yeah, see it moving? Dope. It's more helpful if you don't drop them on the ground and get them all dirty. You just gotta clean them off again. would that work? A little better. So far, I found the yellowy glue to be better and actually not waiting very long. So, you know, this actually says, what's its curing time? It says 8 to 10 seconds. So 10 seconds ain't very long. Yeah, just waiting just a couple seconds longer than that, whatever their cure time is. 8, 10 seconds, it says. That is working better than minutes. Let's move down a little bit. As we're starting to pull up over here, we're gonna move this way. It's just gonna take a lot of time, but it is moving. So I'll keep working on this. And it's probably going to take, I don't know, another 10 or 20 of these. And, you know, it's the same thing over and over again. So I'll keep digging at it, and I'll bring you back in when I think I've made some progress, and we'll see what it looks like. I ought to say, you shouldn't take any of this as, yep, that's how you do PDR. No, this is how I'm trying to learn how to do this. This is a total DIY thing, if you want it to be. You don't have to be a professional to do a decent enough job at this. I'm convinced of that, just in a little bit I've been playing around with this. I'm not a fine details guy. I'm not a patient guy. So if you are, this will be a lot easier for you than it is for me. But it isn't snap your fingers, watch a couple YouTube videos, read some instructions, and you can pull out any dent you've got in your car. Every one of these things is different. There's concepts and best practices and science and experience to know how to do it exactly right. The only reason I'm doing it here is because, like I said at the beginning, it's a 4x4 that gets beat up. If there's a little bit of a dent left behind, I'm not making this showroom straight. If you need that done, I'd recommend going and get it done. PDR isn't that expensive because you don't have to, the whole idea, right? You don't have to sand, body fill, prime, paint, clear coat, polish, like it's a process. It's a long process, and it's hundreds of dollars, if not thousands of dollars, to repaint even just a panel. Paintless dent removal is much cheaper. So it is something you can do on your own, but it is something you can totally pay to get done without spending too much money. If you really want it perfect, you know, maybe pay to get it done. But this is just to show you how, kind of the process of how I'm learning how to do it, a little bit about the particular kit, a little bit about the details, and kind of give you an idea of what is working for me. So on that note, I think for a much bigger dent, particularly in like a fender or something, or in a rear quarter panel or something, where you had a wider dent, that a heavier glue and a more pulling instead of popping would be the way to go. In this case, I found so far that the big pop is working better for me. Get the glue good and hot. Don't get impatient on the glue gun, and because you know it's hot enough I can force some glue out, it's going to work. You want to make sure that it's liquid, so that it's good and warm, it blends out better, but also as soon as you get away from the heat, it starts to cool, like almost immediately, and will start to harden. So you only have really just, once you get the glue on there, you've only got a few seconds before it starts to set up. So you got to get it on your panel quick. And that is critical. The hotter the glue, the more time you have. So if you have kind of, you know, lukewarmish glue, by the time you get it on here, it's not going to stick very good. You want it to stick real good. So get it good and hot, good liquid, stick on right away. And then pretty quickly, like this yellowy glue, it's about 8-10 seconds and I'm pulling. And the longer I wait to pull, the easier that glue pops off, it feels like. I'm not getting that, you can feel that tension on it. Also, when you're doing all this, you're taking a lot of finish off, like wax finish. So, you know, I've been handling this a lot because of the video and touching it a lot, but I'm making a lot of little tiny scratches and swirl marks and stuff like that that'll have to be polished out. I knew that, again, before I started, but just keep that in mind. If you don't have polish or a polisher, this may not be required. It's paintless, meaning you don't have to repaint it, but it's not finishless, right? You're gonna have to refinish this spot. At least so far in my experience. Now maybe you get to a level where you're really good at this and you don't have to do that. Turn my glue gun back on and I'll give you a kind of a quick show of what I'm doing. This kit comes with a bunch of different sizes. Different sizes and shapes so that you can pull out larger, smaller, different angles. But that different angles part is critical. You want to make sure you're pulling. I think I had a tendency at the very beginning to pull in the middle of my dent. And just pull the middle, like if it's dented like this, just pull the middle back out and everything will be good. You kind of, particularly if you have a bigger dent, I think you're going to want to walk your space in. So pull from the outside in and ease it out versus yank, because what you end up getting is you end up getting a dimple or a pimple, I guess you'd say. Like it's going to be a dip and the middle is going to be pulled up. And now that's when you get this wave. And that's what I'm getting right now is I'm getting a bit of a wave. And I think I got too aggressive with the middle and not enough with the outside. I also found for these small dents, the flat pieces. Like that one's got a little bit of, I don't know if you can tell that on camera, but that one's got a slight bevel to it. This one is pretty much dead flat. And I find the flat ones, for the small bit, is working better. So real quick, and then I've also been overly concerned about these little glue strings. They don't matter. They wipe right off. When I said that earlier, this was a little bit of a middle of the road kit. I think the middle of the road element for this is the number of pieces. So in this particular style, the cheaper kits had fewer pieces. The better kits don't have more pieces, they have better pieces. So better glue, better tabs. I think you're getting a better quality of tool and better quality of equipment with the higher end kit. This being a middle of the road kit, in hindsight now, I think just gave me more things. So more tabs, all the different tools, but still lower end quality. So I'm trying to give it work a little bit. Right? Get it to flex and then pop it. And that was pretty good tension. And once you get this sprayed, you can really just peel this off. You see that string came off with it? Kind of, I guess, to wrap this up. This is moving. I'll keep working on it and we'll see how it goes. I don't think I'm going to get this one straight and even. I think I got a lot more practice, a lot more work to do to make that happen. But I do think it's possible. And I think especially on a different panel, it would be more likely for me to get it done. And so I am looking forward to maybe working on that fender on the Firebird at some point, because that feels like it's a much more reasonable place for somebody with lesser experience to make this work. But I'll bet somebody that, really knows what they're doing, they'd be able to get this straight without having to take this off and sand it and body fill it and do all that kind of garbage to get this to be straight again. As far as the kit goes, to give you kind of a quick review of the kit, it's a little on the pricey side for what you're getting out of it. Like I said, I think largely the extra cost, what you're paying for, is more thing. There's 30 or 40 of these pull tabs, all different shapes and sizes. You've got different pulling mechanisms. You've got this sort of squeeze trigger style. You've got the hammer style. They give you a small little hammer and some punches. You get the bag, the carrying case, and the inflatable bag, the gun. Like, you get a bunch of different things. And that's what you're paying the additional money for. So I said this is maybe an $80-ish kit. It's just to get a volume of pieces. I think I got 80 some pieces in this kit. And for this level of kit, the cheaper version just has less stuff. And I think if I did it over again, that's what I would do. I would do less stuff. That I don't need all those things right now. I don't even understand how half of them work. So to get started, if you wanted to get into this and maybe make, dabble in this paintless dent removal, I would start cheap. Just get something and fiddle with it. As you get better with it, and as you learn how these things work, then you'll figure out what you're missing and what pieces you need, what additional tools or maybe upgrades you might want to do. Then spend your money on those things and not all these volume of tools you're maybe never going to use. When you leap to the higher end kits, those $150 kits. I think then what you're getting is you're getting better quality tools. So you're going to get a better quality heat gun. You're going to get a better quality pullers, and certainly better quality glue. Glue is real important here. Crappy glue is just going to pop loose and you're not going to pull on anything. You want to have a good strong hold. So something that's got a high break point, and some of this glue is kind of just, you know, it's just not very good. Focus your money and your budget on the better quality tools that you're going to need all the time, and not so much on the large volume of tools you may never use in your lifetime. You know, people make a career out of this. Like I said, this isn't just a thing you can just do. People really do spend a lot of time and effort perfecting their craft in this. And I think if you really wanted to do it right, that's what you'd have to do. You have to really invest a lot of time and energy into it. But you can. And it's not, these things aren't that expensive in the big picture. Even if you went high end, you went $152, $300. I mean, you know, if you wanted to get into body work and paint and all that, you're investing way more than that. So this is a way, if you wanted to get into the automotive industry, maybe a little side hustle going on where you can make a little extra money. This might be something to think about. I don't know. It's not for me. I do not have the patience to do this. I don't like this finish, fine work, patient, slow moving. I like to hit things hard with hammer. But you know, different strokes, different folks, right? So anyway, as always, like I said, I hope you gain a little confidence. You know, give it a whirl. Give things a try. Try them out, see how they work, see if they're for you, see if you're any good at it. And if not, that's okay too. You can move on from it and try something else. Hope you enjoyed it. Stay tuned. I'm going to try some more of this and see how it works. And I may even pick up some different tools and fiddle around with those. And maybe we'll do another follow-up on this. Thanks again for watching. Appreciate you guys very much, and we'll see you next time.